Welcome back to the Draft Ranking Show. Again, big one today. Big one. Because the question is Matthew Golden the wide receiver one in the 2025 NFL draft class? All the conversations coming out of Indianapolis after Matthew Golden did one simple thing. He weighed in at 191 pounds and he ran a 4.2940. All of a sudden, the questions are up. Ted McMillan didn't participate. Luther Burden runs a 4.41, but he's got small hands. Emeka Egbuka does not participate. And Matthew Golden from the University of Texas runs a 4.29 40-yard dash after a prolific end to the season during the playoff run for the Texas Longhorns. Is Matthew Golden the wide receiver one in the 2025 NFL draft? That's the question. We're going to talk about it today on the Draft Ranking Show. I'm Cody Carpentier. Click that like button, click subscribe if you're here on this beautiful morning, Tuesday, March 4th. We're closing in on the 2025 NFL draft. It feels like it's just days away, but it is 7.5 weeks away until we are down there live in Tampa Bay, Florida. The draft's in Green Bay, but we're going to be in Tampa Bay. We're not going to Green Bay to that weather, the people. Green Bay sucks. We're going to Tampa Bay to celebrate and to call the NFL draft another year in the books, roster watch, and playerprofiler.com. We are here at the Draft Ranking Show, though, talking about Matthew Golden. Is he or is he not the wide receiver one in the 2025 NFL draft? Let's get to it. Quit talking, quit circle jerking around it, get to the point. Is Matthew Golden that guy? He measured in at the NFL Combine, like I said, at 191 pounds. The biggest thing here that I will note about him weighing in at 191 pounds and running that 4.2940, if you go back to 2003, so over the course of the last 22 years of data on combine.iq, which is the new software that NFL.com has, NFL.com/combine/IQ. They have data back to 2003 of all wide receivers in the NFL to weigh over 190 pounds. The fastest man since 2003 at the NFL Combine is Matthew Golden, 4.29 40-yard dash. He just beat out Darius Hayward-Bay that was drafted by Las Vegas 20 years ago by 0.01. He ran a 4.30. Dante Thornton from Tennessee in this year's draft class weighed in over 200 pounds. He ran a 4.30 as well. So technically, if Matthew doesn't do that, Matthew Golden doesn't do that, Thornton's the guy we're talking about, is the fastest wide receiver at the event. Instead, it is Matthew Golden who comes in, lights the world on fire, and runs a 4.2940. And I keep repeating it because it's fast. And you look at the profile that Matthew Golden brought to the table. I did a write-up over at rosterwatch.com. You can get all rookie write-ups that I do over at rosterwatch.com. That's where all my work is dropped. And the Matthew Golden one is one of the first columns I wrote this season for a prospect. And the expectation of Matthew Golden being 6 foot tall, 195 pounds, he comes in 5'11", 191 pounds, 23.5 miles per hour during the 40, a 1.49 10-yard split, 4.29 40 for Matthew Golden. And I'm not even going to lie. When I graded him as a wide receiver 5'6" in the class. I gave him a second-round grade. And since then, the conversation is only just whoosh. It's just whoosh. It's just risen so exponentially. Alex Dunlap has compared him to Odell Beckham Jr. I originally comped him to Santonio Holmes. I've moved more towards like a Diggs/Jordan Addison comp for Matthew Golden. I predicted a 4.44 for Golden. He runs a 4.29. 24% of the team's touchdowns this year, 20% of the yards, 16% of the receptions. He was a 4-star receiver in the 2022 class. He played 2 seasons at Houston, played with Sam Brown, who's now with Miami. Now he's in this draft class. Tank Dell, who's now at the Houston Texans. Of course, he's played with Isaiah Bond this past year at Texas, as well as their freshman Ryan Wingo, who will be in the draft 2 years from now. When I look at Matthew Golden, I see a strong release package with tempo in places that are advantageous against defenders. I think he's got deceptive downfield speed. It's no longer deceptive. He doesn't have that true breakaway speed, though, that you see from guys like Xavier Worthy. He doesn't show 4.29 on tape. He shows quickness, but he does not show 4.29. He's got an elite catch radius with strong, strong hands. I think he adjusts at the catch point, contorts his body, played predominantly outside, played 23% in the slot, proved he can play there. 21 explosive plays of 20-plus yards in 2024. That's fourth in college football. And he had over 700 career kick return yards, majority of that coming from the University of Houston. Some of the cons on that Matthew Golden profile: he only had 6 or more receptions in a game just 7 times in his career, which is 20% of his career games. He had 6 or more receptions. A underwhelming 1.88 yards per route run this past season at Texas can be deferred to the fact that Texas ran the ball more than they threw it, and they threw the ball quite a bit to Gunnar Helm, who's in this draft class, as well as Isaiah Bond and their freshman, I should say, Ryan Wingo. I'd love to see a little more action from Matthew Golden in the backseat of plays during run game. But as far as being a player after the catch, I do think he excels, and he will grow in the run game. That I do know, because this guy has it all put together up top. This guy is as good as interview as you're going to have. We talked to him at the NFL Combine. He was awesome. He doesn't present prototypical size, speed profile that you'd see from an outside weapon, but rather like an elite 2, which is what I kind of consider the guys like Jordan Addison, like Diggs. I know Diggs played as a 1 for a long time, but I see him predominantly as a 2. I thought for sure Golden would be a day 2 guy, early day 2, one of the first wide receivers taken in round 2 when I did my initial write-up. But I've since gone back, and I think you add in the athleticism traits. I think you add in the playoffs, which I graded him before the playoffs, and it makes sense why he's being pushed up. And also, I'm not trying to walk back my second round grade as much as I'm going to be honest and just say I'm a little low on him as my opening grade, but also this receiving class is underwhelming. Luther Burden's a guy that I think in a natural class would be your clear-cut wide receiver 1. He's my wide receiver 1 at the moment. But Luther Burden has 8.5-inch hands. That's no Odell Beckham, 10-inch hands. Anthony Miller, 10-inch hands. Guys with big, strong mitts. I'm worried of being below 9 inches. But Luther Burden, 6 foot, 206 pounds, still a big fan. Ted McMillan, underwhelming at the NFL Combine from most perspectives. Mekek Buka didn't do anything, but I think in fantasy football, people are going to love him, but not in the NFL draft. In the NFL draft, people are looking for a player modeled like a Golden and like a Burden in most drafts. Matthew Golden has potential to be wide receiver 1 in this class, and there's rumors we heard in Indianapolis for some teams that have Matthew Golden wide receiver 1 on their draft board. The question I have for you guys in the chat: do you believe the smoke on March 3rd, March 4th, March 5th that Matthew Golden will be the new wide receiver 1 and the first wide receiver drafted in the 2025 NFL draft? And might he just stay in the state of Texas and play for the Dallas Cowboys?